We've just had a whistle-stop tour of your of your love of history, I suppose. We better start for the kind of general public over how it began, because I hadn't realised until now that you were kind of forced into it at an early age.
It was child abuse. I was forced. I visited every single battlefield and castle and museum and English heritage property, National Trust property within about 200 miles of my house. And I had no choice, and so now I don't give my kids any choice. I do the same to them. But no, I mean, that's what our family did. It's what we talked about. It's what we read and watched, and it was a hobby that has just consumed everyone in the family, really.
And I think what we sensed in the session here at the Red Funnel Live Wight Literary Festival is not just a kind of dispassionate historian, but actually a passionate historian. You go to these places, you feel the anniversaries as they occur in real time, and you sort of feel the emotion and the passion of the events that took place.
It is. I'm very lucky that I don't just get to read about these places. I get to go to them and walk around on them and talk to local people. And so when I've been to the Falklands, I've talked to people what it was like under the Argentine occupation. I've met Auschwitz survivors. I've seen their tattoos that the SS gave them. So I'm very lucky, and it's easy to love history when you get to do those things. And I'm purely because I've been on TV and now podcasts and digital like you guys, that I've got the resources to do that. So I've just been extraordinarily privileged, really, in my career. But it does mean that you can write about events and discuss events differently when you're actually there. When you get stuck in the mud at Passchendaele, when you're in a howling southwesterly gale in the Scilly Isles, when you see the size of Hitler's Atlantic Wall on the French coast, I think you're able to talk about them and describe them a bit better.
And one that you described with extraordinary intensity is Arnhem, and certainly I hadn't realised what it was like for those parachutists landing near that town.
Yeah, Arnhem was a terrible battle. Arnhem was a sort of miniature Stalingrad, really. I mean, it was as desperate as any of that fighting, if on a smaller scale. The town was, huge chunks of the town were destroyed. They were fighting house to house, room to room. The landing zone was literally on fire as well as metaphorically on fire. The Germans and the British were contesting the landing zone whilst British reinforcements were trying to land on it. It was a terrible, terrible battle, and it was in a way quite close to working, which is the great tragedy. You know, the town was destroyed, a lot of paratroopers lost their lives and were taken into captivity, and Montgomery's plan to get across the Rhine, well, it may have been fatally flawed, but it almost worked.
In the questions from the audience here in Cowes afterwards, two things sort of leapt out for me. One is, you didn't quite say this, but I'll put it to you now, historians deserve part of the credit for human progress.
Yes, they do. I think people are very negative about. They go, "Oh, nothing's changed. Same. We're all still going to war." Well, actually, things have changed dramatically. There are far fewer wars than there used to be. An infinitesimally small number of us are killed in violent conflict now compared to our per capita, compared to our ancestors. Life is no longer brutal, nasty, brutal, and short. We have helped to build a world which is remarkable. We have a robot on a comet, a meteorite. We have another one on Mars. This is an extraordinary civilization that we're building. We still have huge problems. Some of our leaders, we're not very good, I don't think, still at how we govern ourselves. You look around the world at some pretty shocking leaders at the moment. But we deserve credit, all of us deserve credit for looking at the previous generation and enlarging and expanding and improving upon that.
And the historians can help to do that. Now, the kind of broad sweep of history question we're also asked is, look at the politics of the moment. Will that feature in history? And you said something quite unexpected in response to that. They'll be trivial compared to the tech.
Brexit, whatever happens to Brexit, is not important compared to the destruction of the Amazonian rainforests, compared to the plastics and the lack of biodiversity of our oceans, and in terms of the technology that's coming along, our ability to edit genes, our ability to project human beings to the moon and beyond, all that stuff, that's what's going to matter. I mean, if you look at the 16th century or the 15th century, how many people from the 15th century can members of the public name now? Christopher Columbus. Right? I'd be very surprised they could name nearly anyone apart from Christopher Columbus, and a few artists, of course. So really, it's what's happening in our culture, it's what's happening in our sciences at the moment that is going to matter.
And you were force-fed history by your parents. You're introducing your own children very intensively to it. Do you mind if they get the same passion or not?
No, I don't really. Listen, I hope they don't. I hope they make their own way. I just want them to live with passion. The one thing I've learned, been lucky enough making history programs, travelling all over the world, meeting archaeologists, meeting dendrochronologists, meeting the people, osteologists, meeting historians, meeting archivists. The one thing I've learned is you live a long time on this planet and you better find something you enjoy doing, otherwise it's a bit grim.